Welcome to the City of Vacaville's 2013 State of the City presentation. During this presentation, we'll look back on our accomplishments over the past year and look ahead to the next year. The last few years have been difficult for the City of Vacaville, and 2012 was especially difficult. The good news, 2012 is over, and a positive year is well underway. That's why we're calling 2013 the Year of Recovery in the City of Vacaville. Like many cities throughout California, the downturn started in 2007. Vacaville was faced with declining revenues, a souring economy, a virtual standstill in economic growth, and the struggle to continue to bring quality services to our residents while faced with shrinking resources. Our solution was simple: reduce staff through attrition, leaving vacant positions unfilled, ask our employees to absorb some of our costs through concessions, and look at new ways to run our organization. Ultimately, we had to take on the issue of raising revenues. And as 2013 gets into full swing, there's a definite turnaround taking place, one we welcome with cautious optimism. Some of the reasons for our optimistic outlook include the passages of Measures I and M in the 2012 election, good news from the state as their budget appears to be balanced and actually ahead of revenue projections so far this fiscal year. The nation's economy seems to be turning around, but other factors are threatening that turnaround. And the housing market is picking up, with increases in home prices expected to rise between 15% and 20% here in Vacaville. Our optimism is guarded, however, for the following reasons: the rising costs of health care and pensions, the impacts of the loss of redevelopment continue to be felt, and despite positive news, uncertainty at the state level still exists. Also hindering the city's effort is a serious lack of tangible assistance from the state with local economic development, making it difficult to compete with other states that have a variety of programs and incentives to offer prospective businesses. But before we tell you how we feel about the state of the City of Vacaville, let's take a look at how our residents feel about the city. As we looked at extending Measure I and beginning Measure M, we reached out to our residents to get their feelings on a variety of subjects related to Vacaville. In March of 2012, over 90% of our residents felt Vacaville was a good or excellent place to live. No surprise there. People who live here seem to appreciate our city for maintaining its small town feel and atmosphere while dealing with typical city growing pains. 62% of our residents feel our city council is doing a good or excellent job, which, according to our pollster, is a remarkably high number. Concerned about how we are dealing with our budget issues are understandable, but by the same token, even with the cutbacks and various other efforts to curtail costs, almost 80% of residents rated the city good or excellent in providing services. Finally, our residents told us the most important issues facing Vacaville were the need to attract businesses and jobs, deal with increased gang activity, protect open space, clean up all that graffiti, address the overall crime issue, and provide more after-school programs for teenagers. So that's a quick snapshot of what residents think about Vacaville heading into 2013. It's good to see that, for the most part, our ratings as a city, as a council, and as a place to live remain very high. Now let's take a look at the city from our perspective. There were many positives in 2012, and here are a few. Crime prevention has always been a major concern of our council and residents. Keeping it in the forefront of any discussion allows us to maintain a level of safety that's the envy of many cities. Part 1 crimes are a good indicator of just how safe our city is. And while overall crime has crept up in the last few months, we know the reason why. The early release of prisoners by the state of California has placed more offenders in the population. The good news is, of course, we're apprehending these criminals before they can do too much more damage. Likewise, our police department tries to be proactive instead of reactive. While the department has felt the pinch of reduced staffing, their efforts have not diminished at all. For example, a local jewelry store was robbed last year by a brazen group of 7 individuals who were traveling around the Bay Area robbing other jewelry stores. They made the mistake of picking Vacaville for their next job. 4 of the suspects in this smash and grab were apprehended shortly after the crime, and 2 more were arrested a short time later. All 7 are now in custody. A similar situation occurred at one of the more popular stores at the Vacaville Premium Outlets. Once again, the suspects were apprehended by our police officers. And one of the reasons for our success? The leadership of the police department. While Chief Rich Word has seen a complete turnover in his command staff over the last 5 years, Their desire to do a great job for the citizens of Vacaville has not diminished one bit. Similar changes at the top have taken place in the Vacaville Fire Department. After almost 8 years in Vacaville and over 31 in the fire service, Brian Preciado retired and turned over the department to Frank Drayton. Chief Drayton and his command staff are committed to maintaining the same high level of services residents have enjoyed. In fact, the city's rating as a fire department has increased from a level 5 many years ago to a level 3, a validation of the efforts of the team over the last few years. And a lower staffing level hasn't meant a decrease in response or calls for service. Our Police and Fire Communications Center received 136,746 calls in 2012. That's a 9% increase over 2011. Of those calls, 24,740 were 911 calls. A reduction in revenues means we need to increase our efforts to find funding elsewhere. In 2012, we secured almost $10 million in grant funds for a variety of services and equipment, including funds to replace or widen 2 bridges in Vacaville, $1 million for a first-time homebuyers program, and over $600,000 for various life-saving equipment for the fire department, including a new fire engine from CAL FIRE. There are a variety of opinions about public transit, but this much is certain. Vacaville City Coach has registered unprecedented growth over the last 6 years, more than doubling its ridership totals. Projections for 2013 are trending toward reaching the magical 500,000 ridership mark. This award-winning department has been a shining star for our city. The Metropolitan Transportation Commission recently awarded City Coach over $230,000 for operations based on the success of the service. Other highlights of 2012 include the work being done at the Easterly Wastewater Treatment Plant. This $150 million project is the largest in the history of the City of Vacaville. The first phase of the plant should be done by summer, with overall completion expected in 2015. Our job numbers continue to improve as well. As of January 2013, Vacaville's unemployment rate stood at 7.5%, one of the lowest in Solano County over the last 5 years, while state unemployment hovers at around 10%. That trend continues today, but our efforts to bring jobs to Vacaville also continue. And while building permit activity has been slowing down, we should see increases in 2013. That means more jobs and a nice bump for our local economy. One project currently underway is Ivywood by KB Homes. Likewise, work on new homes in North Village is also underway. Major projects about to begin include Brighton Landing and Lagoon Valley, with other projects in the works. The Vacaville premium outlets continue to thrive. New stores added in 2012 include Heartstrings, Restoration Hardware, Roca-Ware, White House Black Market, and Styles for Less. While the Nut Tree, with new owners Dunhill Partners, is entering an exciting phase that we hope will elevate the shopping center to become an even more vital part of our local economy. The heart of the city continues to beat strong. Downtown Vacaville is the envy of many communities. Between the numerous events held throughout the year and the new businesses opening, it's a thriving effort and one of the key attractions of our city. New businesses include Blondie's, Creekside Cafe, and Theatre de Ville along Main Street, with over 95% occupancy in storefronts. Other highlights of 2012 include the very public and ongoing efforts to update the city's general plan, reaching a new agreement with Recology to provide solid waste and other services for the next 10 years in Vacaville, creating a joint facilities use agreement with the Vacaville Unified School District, and working to build 2 new parks, Magnolia Park in Southtown and Corderos Park in North Village, to add more amenities for our citizens. But what really makes our community strong? Some would say the businesses that provide jobs and revenues. Others would say the level of safety our community enjoys. But our strength really comes from our residents. When we needed to charge a small fee for the Creek Walk concert series, our residents didn't blink an eye, and attendance was unaffected. We're aggressively seeking sponsorships for the summer concert series, as well as the 4th of July fireworks show and concert. When we asked residents to approve a 1/4-cent sales tax measure, they responded with a resounding 68% approval. Extend Measure I? Over 80% of our residents said yes. Likewise, our council remains strong with steady, consistent leadership that's trusted by residents. And there's a simple reason, we think, for such an overwhelming level of support of our community. Our residents want to maintain their quality of life. They love living in Vacaville. They love being able to attend a concert at the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater, riding their bikes on one of our many paths, eating a bowl of chili or a rib during one of the many downtown events, enjoying a fireworks show and a free concert on the 4th of July, taking a swimming lesson at the Graham Aquatic Center, watching their child play soccer, Little League Baseball, gymnastics, football, or any number of other sports at our many facilities. So taking all of these factors into consideration, you can see why we're optimistic about 2013 being the year of recovery. Strong leadership on the council, a committed, caring workforce at City Hall, a high level of public safety, and an involved, committed, caring community are factors that have helped us weather the storm of the previous 5 years. Those same factors will allow us to bring the City of Vacaville into 2013 and beyond as a stronger, more efficient operation dedicated to the principles of our core values: responsiveness, inclusiveness, innovation, and accountability.